Hello, everyone. Welcome to Speed Gaming 2. We are going to be showing a Link to the Past randomizer today. This is week 3 of the Link to the Past Randomizer League. My name is Arusta. My co-commentator is Tyler Salt. Tyler, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, this is Tyler Salt. Arista, good to be back in the booth with you here today for some Randomizer.
Yeah, this week is Randomizer, so for those of you who aren't familiar with Randomizer, it looks like essentially the big thing is that enemies can be pretty much anywhere. There are a few specific restrictions. For example, red Igors, which can only be killed by the bow, can't necessarily be everywhere, things like that. But by and large, you can get into some really weird situations, like big spikes everywhere, rollers everywhere, all sorts of things. So stuff like the cape and the cane of Burna, which are normally kind of shaky items, good to have but not needed, take a big difference now.
Yeah, absolutely. And our runners are going to have to be flexible and think on their feet quite a bit to be able to survive, especially in the early game. We got looks like the overlay there is wrong, the Ambrosia. It's not what we're doing today. We just have Randomizer 7-7 and defeat Ganon.
Yeah, and so I don't know what you know about these runners, but Broken Triforce and Dawnventure. Oh, looks like they're going to get started, so let's start off there, then I'll get some in.
We saw BigDunka picking up the flute in that Sanctuary start with that Ultros sprite from Final Fantasy VI. And we got Dawnvenure playing with Abigail from Stardew Valley, headed up for the Uncle start. That can be a tricky start in Randomizer. That was very slick, hitting that bomb with a bush. Uncle can be a tricky start in Randomizer because you don't know what's going to be in here. Some pen gators today.
Yeah, one thing to note here is that the Randomizer for this one does not randomize like enemy damage or enemy health. There are those settings, they're just not part of the league.
Just a piece of heart in there. Been 300 rupees up on the Lumberjack ledge. Won't be doing Niagara for that, that's for sure.
Yeah, and so as I was saying when we started, so the two teams here are Broken Triforce, represented by BigDunka, who's pretty well known within the community. Did one of the very common map trackers that people use, and then Dawnvenure, who's a bit of a newer runner of What Are You Doing in My Swamp Palace, but also very skilled. So should be a really good match today, guys.
This is a matchup in the Pyramid of Power division in the Dark World Conference. Broken Triforce sitting at 6 points, good for 5th place. They are 2-2 so far. What are you doing in my Swamp Palace? Still looking for their first win.
And one interesting play here, which you see sometimes in Randomizer, you see BigDunka is carrying along the merchant, something you don't always see in a normal race because it's out of the way, but often a good call here if you have to do it anyways.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that playing the vanilla game however many years ago, but I have not seen that yet in Randomizer. That's pretty good to see something new every day.
And just to clarify in chat, yeah, the overlay is not correct. This is actually week 3, which is Randomizer.
So far, just the flute of note for our runners as BigDunka heads into Blind's Hut. Dawnvenure also picking up that fish. Good call. 300 rupees. The Moon Pearl. Big 20. And some blue mail for our octopus. And in the back, we have, well, with some more rupees, a shovel. Oh, and we found the boots there in the well. I saw it in Dawnvenure did the well first. Confused there for a second. And the magic cape early on from the bottle vendor. As we were saying, that's really nice to have in Randomizer early on in case we run into some very odd rooms, like that one, maybe, in the chicken house. The chicken house can be the true final boss of Randomizer, depending on what ends up in there. But early boots, our runners love to see that.
And this is one of the situations where you definitely don't want to free that chicken under the pot because who knows? Maybe it's still a chicken, maybe it's something dangerous.
Oh, BigDunka playing dangerously there with the running guy. Turning in the bottle to Sick Kid for 50 rupees. We have Dark Diplomat behind the scenes, pushing buttons and tracking for us. Thank you, Dark Diplomat.
Meanwhile, at the library, just a piece of heart. No one's, even though they have boots, may or may not bother to get that.
I saw a blue crystal at Desert, and I saw a red pendant at Eastern. I did not catch what Hera was over there. Seems like a 5/6 crystal, I think, if I'm reading the tracker correctly. Oh, did Dawn leave CAC without activating the flute? Oh, man.
Oof, that's one of those mistakes that really hurts because basically you have to go back for it because otherwise you just lose way too much time. Meanwhile, on BigDunka's screen, we saw a very nice surfing guard there. Presumably guard also using the water walking glitch.
Yeah, clearly. And there's the lamp in Ice Rod Cave.
Yeah, so lamp is one of those items similar to cape and Burna where in a normal seed you wouldn't think it's very important, but for something like this, even runners of top tier caliber doing dark rooms without knowing what enemies are there can be miserable.
So not much of note from the dam as BigDunka will head into Mini Moldorm Cave, or whatever cave this is going to be. No weapon yet other than sort of 5 bombs. We'll see if he can take care of it. Uh-oh. Oh, he's got a bee in a bottle. It's these guys. You know, oh, and there's a hit.
Yeah, those shadows are always kind of rough because you don't really know where they're going to spawn.
I just learned what their name was watching an earlier race today, and I have already forgotten it. So, whatever.
I've always just called them shadows. I'm sure there's an actual name for them. Oof, yeah, and here Dawnvenure realizes forgetting to activate that flute.
That was the Cane of Samaria up there on Desert Ledge. So we'll need to get that at some point for sure.
Meanwhile, BigDunka heading up to Sahasrara. Makes a lot of sense. You've got the 3 items here, and then you can go into Eastern for potentially up to 3 more.
Nothing in the old man's closet here today, and nothing from our other old man, Agina. We've visited 2 out of 3 old men so far today, all of them useless. As our runners are following in each other's footsteps a little bit, let's learn a little bit more about these teams. BigDunka, a member of Broken Triforce, again 2-2-0, along with Glowin and I Am the Schwartz. And then What Are You Doing in My Swamp Palace, Dawnvenure, Scrub Casual, and Digidude. Still looking for their first win. We've gotten 2 of these guys with bombs. Very tricky with to time these with bombs. We'll see if Dawnvenure is able to get this last one. As we see BigDunka, the first to head up to the... Nicely done there.
Yeah, very nicely done with the bomb mini mold or bomb SWAT shadow cave, let's call it.
Ooh.
But nothing of value.
That is unfortunate, because that's something that that BigDunka was unable to pull off. If you're Dawnvenure, you were looking for hopefully like a sword, perhaps something useful there out of that cave, but not to be today. As our third old man also turns up useless. There you go. Insert political baby boomer joke here.
Yeah, at this point, they're starting to run out of checks. BigDunka's got this one on the mountain, and then looks like it might be Eastern after that.
Yeah, there's our sword, our first sword that we've seen up on Spectacle Rock. Not accessible, of course, until we get the mirror. Let's see what BigDunka finds hidden here inside of Spectacle Rock as Dawnvenure gets their lamp. Just a piece of heart, so BigDunka will save and quit. Seems like Eastern or the front of Escape, maybe they'll play.
Yeah, BigDunka does have 10 bombs, so Front of Escape is a viable play. Dawnvenure with only 1 bomb is probably not going to make that play until refills a little bit there, because you do have several guards that are required to be killed, guards or whatever they are in this seed.
Yeah, or whatever they are, but that is the play we are seeing from BigDunka as we see that octopus heading into the front of the escape sequence. We'll
yeah,
see,
one thing to note here about Eastern Palace, if they decide to make that play, is that the red Igors are gone, so you don't necessarily need bow, but you have no idea what the boss is. Obviously, at this point, without any weapons, they can't do anything, but it could be a Trinex, it could be, something like Argus, which needs a hook shot, so...
BigDunka finds his first sword there in the first chest in Escape. So those bombs, superfluous at this point. Yeah, so in addition to the kind of full enemy shuffle on the overworld and in dungeons, this is full boss shuffle, which means that all of the bosses, save for the 2 Aghanim fights and the Ganon fight, of course, are shuffled. They could be in just about anywhere. There are some bosses that can't show up in particular locations. There's another sword in Escape, the Master Sword there. Aga is looking really good now.
Well, I wouldn't use the term good.
Well,
Aga's
yeah.
Tower can be kind of rough in Randomizer. But
Absolutely.
yes, looks like a viable play, let's say.
Well, that's a good way to put it. So we will see those bosses shuffle. In addition, there are 3 bosses, just like in the vanilla game, where you have 2 Armos Knights, 2 Landmos, and 2 Moldorms. There are 3 bosses that will be doubled. You will see 2 of them throughout the seed. They might not be, those second times might not be in Ganon's Tower. You could have them in 2 regular dungeons as well.
Looks like BigDunka heading to Back of Escape. Makes a lot of sense.
Or at least to Dark Cross. We didn't see the key yet.
Meanwhile,
Dawnvenure,
Dawn is
yeah.
going to the Eastern Palace play with still no weapons because they're apparently all on escape.
Now, if BigDunka doesn't find the key here, or the glove, or something like that, do you think that BigDunka will... Well, I guess if he was going to try the Aga play right away, he would have taken a Death Warp there instead of saving and quitting. So this is probably a run over towards Eastern Palace with that sword, I would imagine. Maybe down to, I guess, Shadow Cave, formerly known as Mini Moldorm Cave.
At this point, you at least give a chance to Mini Moldorm Cave now that you've got the weapons to clear it. And that's 5 checks, which are really quick.
Now we know they will come up empty. We'll keep an eye on Dawnvenure's screen here. If we don't find progression over here in Eastern Palace, we very well might be headed for that Aga play. There's 20 rupees. Didn't catch what was in the first chest in Eastern. As Dawn got kicked around in there that little bit. And we are going to see that Aghanim play from the BigDunka, saying no to Eastern Palace and headed up the tower. Love the gumption here from BigDunka.
I mean, that does make sense because you need, with no gloves and no hammer, you need at least 2 items for Dark World access. And at this point, Duncan knows the only things left in logic are potentially 3 items in Eastern Palace, which, depending on who the boss is, there might even only be 2 items in Eastern Palace. So this is a play that's really defensible.
Dawnvenure heading through the first 2 dark rooms. These dark rooms can be very tricky in Randomizer. You see some Lionels in that room. Yikes. And a Stalfos Knight as well. On the other hand, the vanilla big key room in Eastern, often a little bit more straightforward in Randomizer. You could just run over and pick up the pot. You don't have to deal with those anti-fairies. There's half magic, so Eastern also coming up empty.
Yeah, so definitely, clearly, the play is the Aga Tower play. But I think Dawn has not seen the Spectacle Rock item, so it's clearly where he's heading now.
No, gonna flute away down to 8. Is this oh, Dawn's got Zora money, looking for a fake flipper here. Also can be quite treacherous in Randomizer, because if you get hit in the water while you're fake flippering, you're in a good bit of trouble. Actually going to buy some bombs here. That's interesting. Buying that capacity upgrade, taking Dawn out of Zora money. Interesting.
I think Dawn has not not been to escape yet, so maybe just getting some extra bombs to be able to handle whatever's there.
Yep, that makes sense. That makes sense. And if you're going to spend 50 rupees for 10 bombs, and you're right there, you could spend 100 rupees for a total of 15 in a capacity upgrade. I don't hate that.
Yeah, because one thing to note about Randomizer is that stuff that's since there's no health shuffle, stuff that's one shot by bombs is still one shot by bombs. So if you were thinking or worried that maybe you might be on Fighter Sword for a while, those extra bombs could come in handy for many things.
That is absolutely true. BigDunka headed into the Aghanim fight. See how many blue balls we get in this seed. Anywhere from between 0 and 15, I think is the number.
Correct, though the usual answer, I think, I don't remember the math exactly, but I want to say either 2 or 3 is the most common number.
I would say 3 or 4 seems like the average to me. There's 2 right away, though. So 2 hits in that first cycle.
Meanwhile, Dawn is doing a nice job running through this endomized escape.
Should only be 1 more hit, I think, on Aghanim. Maybe 2 at most. It's like 2. Will this be it? And it is. BigDunka is taking down Aghanim.
So we've got a green pendant on Skull Woods, and then I thought that was another pendant on Ice Palace.
Yep, and then the other 5/6 crystal at Thieves Town.
And Hookshot there, very nice. Always a nice item to have in Randomizer because it stuns a lot of enemies. Excuse me.
Up there on the up on the pyramid ledge. Nice, excellent. BigDunka looks like we're heading right over into Palace of Darkness. Palace of Darkness, the boss location here, is the only place in the entire game in Randomizer which is truly bow locked because they got to shoot that Igor statue. Palace of Darkness is a crystal, so we will need to see a bow at some point in this seed.
Yeah, but again, it still makes sense to make this play because even though he's got Hookshot, the only thing that BigDunka has really opened up, you've got the Eastern Mountain, and then you've got Pod here. And then the potential items in the Eastern Palace, which again is only 2, possibly 3 if you can clear the boss.
Yeah, that's true. Without a glove or the hammer, cannot use that hook shot to get over to the eastern or the western part of the Dark World. It's Dawnvenure. With the Death Warp out of Dark Cross, hopefully we'll see that Aghanim is the play here.
Meanwhile, BigDunka getting a key in that first chest. That means Pod is not bow locked, can continue in logic.
Although it is Randomizer, so there wouldn't be any mimics in that room anyway.
Good point. Thank you for correcting me on that.
He said as if he had experience playing Randomizer. I have this week off, and I'm pretty glad about it. This mode is pretty tough sometimes.
Yeah, Randomizer really depends on what you get early. If you get something like Cape or Burna early, if you get some good weapons early, it's a lot more feasible. But if you have to struggle around with Fighter Sword and no invincibility and tight on hearts, it can be miserable.
Those big ol' spikes, I think, are the funniest thing to find everywhere to me in Randomizer. I love seeing those big spikes in places where they don't belong. You see BigDunka not bothering with the other side. Oh, there's that. Speaking of big spikes where they don't belong, that's a real tough one to deal with there. If you don't have the cape, that is.
And then the small spike on the very narrow ledge.
Just incredibly rude. Dawn doing a really nice job avoiding those high noxes in that room. Doesn't need to beat them. Just grab the key and run away. The harmless Hellway, not so harmless today.
Yeah, that death is completely understandable. Not a whole lot of room to dodge anything there.
Yeah, there hasn't been anything of note here in Palace of Darkness. Yeah, you got to think that we're going to find something. We do have that hook shot, which opens up some stuff up on the mountain. But this was the clear best play, I think, for BigDunka at the time. Not quite working out for him yet. We'll see.
Yeah, and just seeing the thief there on BigDunka's side, one of the few nice things about this Randomizer setting is that thieves are actually killable. Some of the harder settings, thieves are unkillable and they just get in your way all the time.
Oh no, BigDunka, no big key, which is over on the right side. That is, feels bad, man, there. I've done that. Responding to chat, hookshot would open all of the left side of Dark World if we had a glove or the hammer, but you need one of those in order to get to that spot. Or the flippers, I think.
Correct. You can flippers down there and then hookshot across. It's something that very rarely comes into play, but it does happen.
Dawn taking down Aghanim. We'll get his hook shot before too long as we see BigDunka headed over into Paradox Cave. A heart container and 10 arrows in either the top or the bottom of Paradox Cave, depending. Dawnvenure wants no part of Palace of Darkness yet. We'll probably save some time there. There is our Power Glove up in either the top or bottom of Paradox Cave, depending.
Yeah, and by skipping Palace of Darkness and coming straight in, Dawnvenure is going to catch up a bit of the lead that BigDunka had.
Ooh, as BigDunka misses that bomb jump. It's uncharacteristic. I have to say, that bomb jump is one of the more straightforward ones in the game. No shade. You know, things happen. That was a Quake medallion up on the floating island there. Might need that.
Yeah, with 2 crystal dungeons, that's definitely something you need to keep in mind, because it's a decent chance you might need that. Meanwhile, Dawnvenure doing the bomb drop very nicely. Looks like BigDunka going to check the items in back of escape, at least one of which is a key, but who knows what the other two are.
Did we see the map in the front? The other one might be the map, or another one might be the map.
I don't remember.
That last one is, in fact, the map. So just 50 rupees there in the back of escape today.
So it looks like the play here is Aga 1 to get your hook shot, to Light Death Mountain just for the glove, back to Dark World, to hook shot west to West Dark World.
Certainly seems that way. Dawnvenure picking up a potion before heading back into the Dark World, presumably. Not sure if that's just for safety or if Dawn has perhaps forgotten that there's no need to potion unlock glitch in pod in Randomizer. But either way, it's nice to have.
Looks like Dunka's going to check Catfish on the way. This makes a lot of sense because, one, it's in logic, and there's not that much in logic. And two, if you don't, you've left it pretty isolated.
Yep, and this way you don't have to try to loop it in with Zora checks with the mirror, maybe that you get some point. Any of those shenanigans, you can just take care of. My girlfriend from another school just has a piece of my heart today.
Meanwhile, since that Catfish venture didn't pay off, looks like Dawnvenure is actually going to be a little in front here, has done fewer checks, but is going to get up to the Village of Outcasts area for the next progression quicker from doing some of those skips and gambles.
Yeah, when you feel like you are perhaps at a disadvantage, right? Where maybe you're not as experienced or as strong of a runner as your opponent. You know, sometimes you got to make those gambles. So far, they are working out in Dawn's favor as he drops down into Skull Woods, picks up a key in the pinball room. Got some vanilla wall masters there in Skull Woods. I think they stay that way. Ooh, what a mean pokey.
One thing to note about this Skullwoods play is that even though it is endomized, you do still need the fire rod to get to the back of escape. So there's two checks there, which they will not be able to do, nor will they be able to get the crystal. Either runner will be able to get the crystal at this point.
There we see the flippers in Skull Woods in the front. And Dawn is not bothering to go towards the back because we see BigDunka picking up a heart container there in the vanilla big key, or the whatever that chest is. I think it's the big key.
BigDunka showing off the rarely seen but always good to know room on the side there, which has a full magic refill.
I'm sure we'll see it in just a moment. Thieves Town is another really interesting play in Randomizer because you don't need to bother with the maiden, of course. If you want, you can do the front, and then once you have the big key, you can go, and to get into the back, you can just dash straight down that hallway and beat and see what the boss is. Maybe if you beat it, and then you nope out, depending. It's entirely possible.
Yeah, with this equipment setup, basically, they couldn't. Well, you could do Helma if you remember how to do the bomb strat, which with 14 bombs, I think Dawn could pull it off. Beyond that, you can't do Trinex, and I think that might be the only one that's out of pocket here.
Armos Knights wouldn't be fun, that's for sure, but it's technically possible. Well,
And
not anymore. There's a bow.
It's completely possible.
Yeah, they wouldn't be able to do Cold Stare either. Thank you, chat. Of course, need a Bombos or Fire Rod for that.
And I am not familiar with the game that Dawnvenure sprite is from. What was that bunny sprite?
So that Dawnvenure's sprite is Abigail from Stardew Valley, and so that was I don't remember what the name of the little forest spirits are in Stardew Valley, but it was one of those carrying an amethyst.
Thank you.
Junimos, that's right, yes. Dawnvenure not interested in heading right for the boss. Gonna full clear Thieves Town. Lionel's in the Hellway is very rude. Dawn making good use of that magic cape here.
BigDunka making the rarely seen but very smart play to go north around that thing rather than drawing out the big spike.
Dawn maybe not forgetting that you don't need to open that in Randomizer. Well, remember there. That's good. Even if it's blind, I think that even if it is blind, then the maiden is not in the cell. I think blind is just there. But yeah, Dawn making good use of that cape and the half magic, and it is Armos Knights. With that bow.
BigDunka showing off the quick kill there, which, as long as the room is decent size, like it works pretty much the same way in this as it would in the vanilla game.
And we'll see if BigDunka heads back into Thieves Town to check out the back. No, noping out. I guess we'll see very soon. Well, without the hammer, that's all we're gonna see. Actually, no. The small key is in the big chest because Dawn doesn't have a small key and blind can't have it. So unfortunately, this call to full clear Thieves Town not gonna work out for Dawn.
Yeah, and you have to think, with it being a crystal that he's already cleared, BigDunka is probably not going to go back for those chests unless he really gets desperate and ends up last locationing something.
Yeah, you figure, unless it really comes down to it, Dunka's not coming out there. There is a tempered sword in the digging game, so we know where all 4 swords are. That upgrade from Master to Tempered Sword in Randomizer has to be a pretty big sigh of relief. Oh, jeez. Random Igor hiding under a bush. Man, Randomizer's weird. And there are the mitts there on Stumpy. That will indeed change what BigDunka it was doing. Imagine was headed over to Hype Cave. Now with those mitts, is going to head over here and pick up the Smith first. You know, we're only 40 minutes in, obviously, so a lot can change between now. But this race has been remarkably neck and neck. We've gone back and forth a couple of times, so no huge mistakes there. Both BigDunka went into pod and picked up not much there, which is something that Dawn will probably end up doing at some point there. But really, the big thing is if there is something that you need in that pod big chest, that's going to be a big time loss for BigDunka, having gone all the way there without the big key. With Dawn choosing to leave the Smith there for a little while, maybe waiting to have the mirror before routing that in, as we see BigDunka changing the Smith back into a frog and bringing him over to Misery Mire. Uh, 0 out of 10 out of Hype Cave. No hype whatsoever there today. Dawn has the mitts. They're just didn't catch up on the tracker, that's all. They were on Stumpy. You know, oftentimes the meme is that red mail is for cowards, not in Randomizer. You're always happy to find that in Randomizer for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dawn going to be able to route in the back of escape here, whereas BigDunka took a separate trip for it, so save a little bit of time here.
See what the Smiths are cooking up for us today. Just a big 20.
That's just him saying he was angry about having to run around the entire world rather than going home.
Yeah, right. Dawn is headed up to Death Mountain. I'm going to put those mitts to good use. Check Super Bunny Cave. Use that hook shot over in Hookshot Cave. I think with half magic and the cape. No hammer. Can't get in Spike Cave yet. Spike Cafe.
Yeah, meanwhile, BigDunka's going to do some flipper checks. The Lake Hylia Island was just a piece of heart. Not going to go back and get that, but there is still Hobo and can route in all the Zora checks as well.
Usually we see these checks before, I think, almost 45 minutes into the seed, but in Randomizer, fake flippering is a trickier situation. The money wasn't coming too early in this seed. There's nothing in Super Bunny Cave. As BigDunka fluting back down to 8 to go check out the entire Zora area, which is in Logic.
Dawn giving us the knowledge of Quake being the entrance to Turtle Rock, which, since it's a crystal, means that Dawn will have to come back from the backside of Hookshot Cave eventually to mirror over and get that Quake off Floating Island.
And we saw the powder up on Floating Island. Or, excuse me, the Waterfall Ferry. I mean, Bombos over there in Hookshot. Ooh, free blue potion at Waterfall Fairy.
That's all. I mean, that's a really good decision here at Randomizer, because especially since BigDunka does not have the half magic, only has 8 hearts. You know, that's something that can really help you out, being able to refill whenever you need it.
I don't know that Pendant Ice Palace without the hammer is a great play yet. There's too many other things to do here. But now that we do have a Bombos, we can handle any cold stares that we signed out. There's the hammer! For once, King Zora selling us something at a reasonable price. Good value for our money there, as the magic hammer picked up for 500 rupees.
BigDunka pulling out the hook shot, going to do the Eastern Death Mountain, and then probably route back. Without the mirror and with Hera being a crystal, it's possible Dunka goes straight to, rather than going straight to the Dark World, instead loops around, does Hera, then comes back to the east to do the Dark World checks.
Yep, and we are seeing that Dunka is headed up Paradox Cave rather than using the portal down at the bottom of the mountain. I totally agree. We'll see Hera here first, and then those Dark Death Mountains.
Meanwhile, Dawn is going to do the checks on pod that BigDunka has already done, which unfortunately we know is not really going to pay off.
Well, maybe. Of course, we didn't see the right side. So if Dawnvenure is a little bit more thorough than BigDunka was, maybe he'll go over and check that out and get the big key. We'll see what was in that big chest.
Correct. And the other thing is, it is a crystal that you have a, whatever odds you want to say, 9/10 or something like that of being able to clear. Or, well, now with the Bombos, yeah, because the only thing they can't clear is Trinex.
BigDunka finding the Ether Medallion and the big key on the first checks in Hera. I was a little surprised we didn't see a Hera pot here. Really like that Hera pot move when you have the big key. And we are going to see those 2 chests left in pod that BigDunka left behind. 3 chests, I should say, including the big chest. Much nicer room there than when it's filled with mimics.
Meanwhile, we have Moldorm in its vanilla location, but with a lot more eyes.
Yeah, definitely not the vanilla number of eyes. And there is crystal number 2 for BigDunka. Dawn picks up 2 keys and is going to Death Warp. I believe, if I am not mistaken, I think BigDunka left an item in Hera basement.
I think so.
Ether was in the platform chest in Hera. BigDunka just picked it up.
Okay, in that case, no, because there was 20 rupees on the boss.
Oh, I missed that. All right.
BigDunka showing off the stun prize today is bombs, so always nice to know that.
Here comes a moment of truth for BigDunka, not even going to know it. As Dawnvenure about to open up the big chest. What's there? It's the mirror! Oh no! Oh yikes! That is a huge, huge break for Dawnvenure. Doesn't even know it yet.
Yeah, Dawn's routing on this seat has worked out really, really well.
Up until right now.
Made a lot. Yeah.
Without the hammer, not going to be able to get too far down here. So yeah, Dawn could beat the boss if they could get to it. Not going to be able to get to it, unfortunately. And realizes it right there. That's better than my race this past week, where I went all the way down to Helma's door without the big key. So, you know, baby step. All right, so those are our big difference makers right now. Dawnvenure with that mirror, which is a big help. Of course, BigDunka left the big chest behind because I forgot to go back for the big key once he had the keys for it. Now, Dawnvenure, on the other hand, waiting to go up to Zora. Ooh, that might be the play right here, though. Dashing up the side. That is what Dawnvenure needs to do. This is a catfish and Zora checks. Great play here by Dawn.
Yeah, which is going to work out really well because BigDunka basically made this route twice. Once for catfish, and then they did it via the whirlpool, but had to come up here again for the light world checks.
It's a real early pyramid fairy, but unfortunately coming up empty for BigDunka. Looks like BigDunka is headed over to do Pod and Eastern Palace. So, presumably we'll get that mirror.
Yeah, because it is worth noting that BigDunka hasn't, as far as I remember, has not done Eastern Palace yet. So there's checks here, and then also with that hammer, knows it's a clearable crystal here in Pod, in addition to whatever he left. So that's clearly chasing crystals, and that's usually a solid play.
Now the question is, will BigDunka go all the way to the big chest? That is the question. Gonna need to come over here for some keys. Will head over and get the big chest in its vanilla location. Will he go and check the big chest, maybe a hammer jump over there, or will he rush straight down to the boss?
I wasn't counting items, so I don't know whether he's found both the map and compass, because I feel like that would be part of your decision. If you know you've seen everything, then you know you've seen everything. Or, you know, whether you'd bet on, oh, there's a 50-50 chance that I could get it just from the boss and never have to go back for that.
Oh, you know, excuse me. The big key was there. I have to imagine with this layout. Oh, and he's going back for the big chest.
Yeah, and that, like I was mentioning, if you looked at BigDunka when he pulled up his map there, already has both the bow and the, or excuse me, both the map and the compass, so he knows there's an item in that big chest.
Ooh, getting knocked around by that spike. Dawnvenure setting up just the bomb setup for Harapot. Well done. I only know the bonk setup, but very good.
Yeah, the bomb setup is definitely worth learning because you may or may not have the boots, but pretty much every time you come up here, you will have bombs.
BigDunka has his mirror. Can't feel good about that. But will know now with the mirror in hand, be able to go all the way down to the boss. So both of our runners having to double dip pod in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, maybe even triple dip pod if this boss down here is Trinex. Dawnvenure picking up crystal number 2 from Moldorm. I imagine we will see Misery Mire and Desert next. That would be my expectation.
Going to pick up this Quake first, which makes a lot of sense because Dawn doesn't actually know that. Dawn has not been to Mire yet and doesn't know that already has the medallion required.
But it's going to need it anyway for Turtle Rock. So smart play here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot better than betting on that 2/3 chance, getting there and realizing, oh, wait, I needed that.
Yeah, at this point in the seed, certainly. If you think you might be in go mode, I can see taking the chance. But at this point in the seed, there's no sense in making that gamble when you're going to need this thing anyway for Turtle Rock.
Yeah, and Dawn was also able to open up Turtle Rock's entry portal as part of this, which, you know, will save a few seconds later as well.
Oh, and it's a cold stare. BigDunka almost saving quit out of there, and then luckily remembered that he had the Bombos medallion. He can actually take care of this one. Tempered Sword and Red Mail makes that pretty straightforward. Picks up a piece of heart and crystal number 3 as Dawnvenure heads into the Misery Mire area.
Yeah, so at this point, basically, with the amount of bosses we've seen, you have to guess that Trinex is probably still somewhere. So you know he's out there, and there's a good chance you might still need to do him. So maybe 2 rods, plus the Cane of Samaria, and that's really what we're looking for at this point.
We're not looking for it. It's right there. So we are in rod hunt mode. Definitely the fire rod. Probably the ice rod. We shall see. Desert Palace, full clearable. Just a piece of heart on the torch. One more item in there. We are neck and neck, folks. BigDunka with that, of course, with the 1 crystal advantage here. But Dawnvenure just needs to run in and do that. So not too long.
Yeah, and the one thing worth noting with the way this boss shuffle works is that you can see bosses twice. There are 3 bosses that'll be duplicated. So there's still a decent chance that Trinex will either be in one of the crystals they still have remaining, the 1, 2, 3, 4 crystals they still have remaining, or some of those potentially locations in Ganon's tower.
As we see blind here in Desert Palace. Script doesn't work quite as well. But not much trouble there. 11 hearts, gold sword, red mail shouldn't be a problem. There's crystal number 3 for Dawn. BigDunka with an unfortunate mirror there. Both runners with unfortunate mirror troubles. So you see Dawn heading in to open up Misery Mire, pulling out that Ether Medallion. See what those 2 items in here are.
About to see Mire 2, which is quietly one of the most odd rooms in Randomizer. Who knows what you can find here.
Smartly using the Ether Medallion here just to take care of some of these, limit the danger from some of these couple Hinoxes in there. And it's too bad. Like, this room and then the 2 Wizrobe rooms in Ganon's tower are some of the most satisfying rooms to do quickly in the game, and Randomizer does take that from us, and I am sad about that a little bit. Not to worry, though. Plenty more non-Randomizer action in the league. As we are past the 1 hour mark here, let's reset a little bit. This is week 3 of the Link to the Past Randomizer League season number 2. This match between BigDunka of Broken Triforce and Dawnvenure of What Are You Doing in My Swamp Palace. 2 teams in the Pyramid of Power division in the Dark World Conference. Broken Triforce sitting at 2-2, good for 6 points. What Are You Doing in My Swamp Palace? Still looking for that first win.
Yep, and just a little more background since we are at the 1 hour mark. This is week 3, which is Randomizer. As you can clearly see if you're familiar with Link to the Past, every enemy here is randomized. The bosses are, you fight the same bosses as you did in Vanilla, those same 7, but they can be in completely different locations. The only ones that aren't randomized are the Agas and Ganon himself, of course. There are a couple restrictions on what can apply, but we'll cover those if they come up. In general, the biggest thing that you need to know is just, at this point, with no Ice Rod, no Fire Rod, there is a Trinex in the pool, at least one, and they haven't seen him yet. So it's possible that this Mire play ends up bailing out.
It is entirely possible. We have seen 4 bosses total We haven't seen any of the repeats, so there are the 10 normal dungeon bosses. 3 of them will be repeated, like in the vanilla game, with the 3 light world bosses being repeated in Ganon's Tower. So we will see 3 of those bosses twice. We don't know which ones yet, though. Thank you to our tracker putting into chat. We have seen Blind in Desert Palace, a 6-eyed Moldorm in Tower of Hera, Cold Stare in Pod, and Armless Knights in Thieves Town. As we are getting a full clear of Misery Mire from Dawn. Still searching for that second item. BigDunka, on the other hand, taking his big key and rushing to the back. Maybe feeling behind a little. That wouldn't surprise me, considering he had to dip back into Palace of Darkness for that mirror. Had to expect that Dawn probably did that all in one fell swoop, not knowing, of course, that Dawn did that before Dawn had the mirror. Or, excuse me, before they had the hammer. And so not able to run all the way down to the boss. That's the difference right now between these 2 runners. And as we see a big 20 in the cutscene chest, we know that this gamble will pay off for BigDunka, provided they don't dip back in after defeating the boss. We'll see what this boss spot in Misery Mire has for us today. It's another Cold Stare. Dawn having a little trouble there lining up that shot on the crystal switch. As down goes Cold Stare on Dunka's side. Picks up crystal number 5. Dunka has moved back into the lead, I would say, at the...
As long as Dunka does not go back for that cutscene chest.
That's right. And either item, as a matter of fact. So, and is going back in. That is unfortunate. We know, of course, that this there's nothing of note else in Misery Mire. Dawn with a very nice Cold Star fight, taking advantage of half magic and the cape. Picking up quite a bit of time there on Dunka on that Cold Stare fight.
Yeah, that was a very, very smart play there to use the cape, because one of the issues with Cold Stare in this fight that BigDunka had to deal with is, even though it looked kind of weird, like it's kind of iced over, that swamp part really does still hurt like it would with its Vidi. So being able to cape and just trap them in the corner like you normally do is a very nice benefit.
That half magic was in Eastern Palace. We have not seen BigDunka in there yet, and frankly I doubt we will. Seems like Swamp Palace is the play, right? You got a mirror, you got a hook shot, you got a hammer, you got the flippers. Swamp's full clearable. That seems like it's a crystal, unlike Ice Palace. So this, I think, Swamp the clear next play for Dawn here.
Yeah, and it's got six items too, which is more, at this point, item density. There's not a whole lot of locations that have tons of items all at once.
That's absolutely right. We've already done most of the mountain checks. Based on what we have here, it is basically Swamp Palace, Turtle Rock. Can get into Turtle Rock, certainly. I don't know how far we can go without the Fire Rod. But Swamp is clearly the next play here. It is technically possible for this seed to not require either rod. If the big key, if the key layout in Turtle Rock works well, and they don't run into a Trinex, and the big key in Ganon's Tower is on the left-hand side, there is a way to get through those torch rooms up top with the lamps. More difficult, but it's possible, certainly. I guess it is possible to do the right-hand side room there that you usually, the right-hand side torch room in Ganon's Tower with the lamp as well. It's much more difficult. We find the book here for our first item in Swamp Palace.
It's much more difficult, and it's out of logic.
That is absolutely true.
Because it requires bomb jump, at least one bomb jump, and it's not that, it's kind of a difficult bomb jump as well. That's a play. Doing that bomb jump rather than going for a Fire Rod is the kind of play you see most often in something like Cross Keys, where you can find Ganon's Tower super early.
BigDunka about to get the bad news here. Wasted a bunch of time in Misery Mire, headed back for those two items just rupeed. Kane's over on Desert Ledge. BigDunka did pick that up. It looks like the tracker software might have eaten it, which happens from time to time. He did get Kane. You know that he got Kane because he beat Misery Mire. Dawnvenure not bothering with left side Swamp, headed straight to the back. Looks like not going to play around with our new Diver Down glitch, which could avoid the possibility of having to move that statue here and drain this water. We see Dunka following Dawn into Swamp Palace. I think we saw either the map or the compass in that chest south of the big chest room. So there is going to be at least one item over there on the left side of Swamp. There's 300 rupees and the maps. I think there are going to be two items over there.
Yeah, that makes it the kind of thing that you probably go back for. If it was just one item, maybe you take that chance, but knowing the odds of the longer you play, the more odds you have of, hey, we still haven't seen that Trinex, and you need two items for that. So maybe it makes you more likely to make that play.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are the only two items that we would need for go mode at this point. All right, just double check that I'm not lying. I'm not lying. That's good. We see a Helmosaur in Swamp Palace. Excuse me, His Majesty the Helmosaur King. Two slashes from Gold Sword makes quick work of Helma.
Yeah, and the nice thing about encountering Helmosaur here is that essentially it's basically the same fight you have in every other seed, because the arena here does not really affect your play much.
No, it does not. Dawn picking up their 5th crystal. See if they head back in there for those two items over on left side Swamp. We'll see if BigDunka chooses to... Nope. All right. I was going to say, that was Going to be a big move there. Decides to go back in. I think this is the smart play here, considering where we are in terms of items.
Yeah, and being at 5 crystals with a 6th pretty much cleared out at 114, it's not quite at that spot where you feel super behind or, you know, like you're really, really needing to rush.
Neither of our runners opting for the new diver down glitch here in this race. I understand that. If you're not super confident in it, you don't want to break it out in a race. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, we just last week, during a race that I was commentating, it was a lot of fun. There were several new glitches that were allowed in competitive rando by the ALTTPR Racing Council, including one here in Swamp Palace called Diver Down. It lets you screw around with the layers a little bit and intentionally flood that key to cut off some backtracking in that room there on the left side, as well as to avoid draining the water in the back. Those are now legal in competitive rando.
Yeah, one thing to note about it, though, is that the diver down where you flood the key only works the first time, because the second time when you're coming back like this, you need to get the key before you can even flood the room. So it only works if the very first time you're planning on doing left side swamp when you first walk in.
That is true. Four slashes from BigDunka's Tempered Sword. Picks up, what is for him, crystal number 6. Nothing in that first chest on left side. And there's the big key. Our last item going to be in the big chest.
Which for Dunka here, the calculus is probably a little different, being at 6 crystals. So basically, depending on the Ganon's Tower big key location, you can only have 2 more spots you can find a Trinix, because Trinix cannot be in the second Moldorm location. So if you end up in a spot where it's not behind formerly Ice Armos, you could potentially, basically, as long as Trinix isn't vanilla or in Land Mos 2, you could get away with it.
And it was the right call. Bunch of garbage over there on left side swamp. You see a heart container on the Bombos tablet. That is a tough break for Dawn and a lucky break there for Dunka. Looks like this is a Spike Cave play, I want to say. Oh, and Ether Tablet, maybe. Ether Tablet, pick up that gold sword, just to spite your fantasy owners.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if Dunka then just tries Turtle Rock, because there's 6 items, including Mimic Cave, there's basically 6 items there, and there are 7 bosses remaining. You have decent chance you'll be able to clear it without needing those 2 rods. The odds are in your favor.
Yeah, not sure what the percentages are, but it is definitely possible. Mirror in hand, BigDunka is going to head over and get that Quake medallion, which we know is required to open up Turtle Rock here. Looks like Dawn is headed back in to clean up his unfinished business in Palace of Darkness. Pull up even with 6 crystals apiece. This seed's been pretty friendly as far as Randomizer seeds go. No rooms that are completely ludicrous. Certainly not a ton of really inconvenient spike rollers that I've seen. We're inching our way towards go mode at 1 hour and 19 minutes. Runners probably feel pretty good about this so far.
Yeah, even both runners, like, there haven't been a whole lot of... I mean, they both had to double dip pod, which never feels good, but in general, there's not a huge thing where you feel like, you know, you took an unfortunate death or anything like that.
Yeah, pretty clean play, execution-wise, at least, for both of our runners, as we see. BigDunka, the only one giving us new information now, opening up Turtle Rock. We'll see what that first chest is. Needs to be a key in order to move forward, but frankly, there's not a ton else left. It's either this or Ice Palace at this point. Maybe Spike Cave, too. Or did we see Spike Cave?
I don't think BigDunka showed us... Or yeah, BigDunka did Spike Cave earlier. As part of his Dark Death Mountain checks. I seem to remember it was either a piece of heart or like a big 20.
Yeah, I think it was a piece of heart. There is a key. BigDunka can continue on. Nice little bouncing pokey there. This next room significantly less scary in Randomizer. One of the few rooms that is less scary in Randomizer. There's our ice rod. And that's it for Turtle Rock. So I'd say we're going to see some Ice Palace coming up next.
Yeah, that's really what makes sense here. The other thing to note is that, for those of you who are wondering, the Skull Woods, I believe Dawnventure, they've already gotten both items there. It is a green pendant, so maybe that's what BigDunka's trying to check, while also checking, maybe doing a ped check for us. But both items are already gone there.
Oh, Graveyard Ledge. We're getting a Graveyard Ledge check first. I'm not sure Dunka has checked Bumper Ledge either. That looks like he did. So we have not seen Graveyard Ledge yet from either runner, I believe.
Yeah, BigDunka, both runners checked the Bumper Ledge the first time they were up here because they both already had Cape. Because they got that super early.
Is this the fire rod we are looking for on Graveyard Ledge? Dawnvenure walking out of pod. It is not in Graveyard Ledge, just a big 20. It's like Ice Palace. Dawn is looking like they're headed down to Ice Palace here. We are all kinds of neck and neck. Oh, BigDunka still putting off that Ice Palace play. Maybe trying the green pendant from Swamp Palace, looping it in with a pedestal check. A surprisingly small amount of pedestal speculation from chat. I'm both disappointed and proud of you. Ah, that is true. So, Fire Rod, pedestal's dead. That's a good point.
Yeah, and even at this point with Red Mail and 4 swords, and both have at least one blue bottle, I can't imagine there's anything... Like, at this point, there's not even any safeties you'd necessarily feel like you need.
Looks like BigDunka is doing purple chest. Dawnvenure, I think, has not done the Smith chain yet. That is probably on his mind. BigDunka checking out Magic Bat. Haven't seen this check yet. We have the powder now. Is this our fire rod? No, it is not just a piece of heart. We are still looking.
That Ice Palace play keeps looking better and better.
Yeah, you have to think. Well, now the question is, will BigDunka go and do Ice Palace before, or go and do Eastern before heading to Ice Palace? Also, will Dawn go into... Well, Dawn will get that Ice Rod. It's in Turtle Rock. So...
Yeah, and I mean, the fact BigDunka has already been to Turtle Rock is not really going to save him any time, because those first couple checks are super quick.
A single rupee in Cave 45. Dawnvenure looks like are doing this Smith chain. Is not done.
And there we go. At 1 hour, 25 minutes, and about 45 seconds, BigDunka is in go mode.
There is our Fire Rod. Dawnvenure will be there before too long. It was sitting there the whole time. That is unfortunate for our runners. But they have it now. So this is shaping up to be a good couple minutes lead for BigDunka. Headed into a go mode Turtle Rock, which is not that much slower than a regular Turtle Rock.
Yeah, really, the only big time savings is that you can steal the pokey key and not have to worry about it. You can theoretically also skip the big chest, but that's a bit of a risky gamble depending on how the key layout plays out for you.
Yeah, it all depends on the key layout. BigDunka would need a big key and a small key here for that to make sense. There's the big key. There's a small key. All right, we got some choices for BigDunka to make at this point. Nerves maybe a little bit, getting to BigDunka. Falling off that Samaria block a couple times. With the big key in hand, we'll see. Ooh, there's some mean big spikes there. With the big key in hand, BigDunka will likely skip the lava chest.
Meanwhile, Dawnvenure gets Fire Rod, so there is about a 2-minute, 45-second difference between when they entered go mode. Worth noting that Dawnvenure has one additional check to make on the very first chest of Turtle Rock.
Oh no, why is Dawn going up this way? Oh, with the book, checking Ether Tablet. Yeah, Dawn doesn't know that Ice Rod is waiting for them right in Turtle Rock. This is going to come down to Ganon's Tower routing and execution, as it so often does. If you have not yet, make sure you give these runners a follow on Twitch. This has been a very fun race, really well played for both of them. Oh, that is a mean place for that chain chomp there.
Yeah, especially since there's nothing you can do. You just see it coming, and it's like, well, guess that's that.
Well, guess I'll die, .gif. And for once, Laser Bridge is nice to give us a key in the first chest. BigDunka headed on to pick up crystal number 7. Yeah, you're dang right, Jiff. We're not gonna do this right now. It is
So
very.
who is it gonna be?
Is it Trinex? It's Vanilla Trinex! I've seen 3 Randomizer races get to the end of Turtle Rock so far this week, and all of them have had Vanilla Trinex. Is this even randomized?
Meanwhile, you know what it's almost time for?
I do know what it's
Everybody's
always
favorite
time
game.
For. America's favorite game, and lots of places' other favorite game. The big key guessing game. As soon as our bot gets it started, as our tracker gets the bot.
So this is 22 possible locations for the big key in Ganon's Tower. You pick a number between 1 and 22. You have not very long because it's until he gets into Ganon's Tower, so get your guesses in immediately.
I went with 10. I don't know if I got it in time to be first on it, but I won with 10 earlier today, so I'm running it back.
And as always, we see several people saying 22 in chat. You people are very mean. That means tile room. It's no fun for anybody. Tisk tisk.
Get those guesses in. Guesses will stop here in just a moment. And stop.
And one thing to note is that the ice armos can contain pretty much any boss at this point. I don't think we've seen a duplicate cold stare, but you can have up to 3 duplicates. So outside of another cold stare, this could be pretty much any boss if they have to go down to formerly ice armos.
Yeah, I believe there are some more restrictions that are up at the Landmo 2 and Moldorm 2 spots. I'm not sure if you've got those.
Correct. The restrictions are blind cannot be in Landmo 2, and that's just a bug-related thing. If he's up there, apparently like there's some glitch where he can glitch out the rest of the dungeon. And then on Moldorm Arena, they're Cold Stare, Vidi, Moldorm, Helmasaur, or Mothula are the only ones that can appear in Moldorm arenas.
We saw an interesting reverse Dark Magician from BigDunka going left side first to the Stalfos room, then mirroring out. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chests in. Checks 8, 9, 10, and 11 coming up here in the compass room. Number 8, a big 20. Number 9, 3 bombs. Number 10, a piece of heart. Number 11, the map. We are headed back to the left side.
And chat pointing out correctly, there is a tile room Bob there. So very nice.
Shout out to Tile Room Bob.
Yep, Bob being the fact that if you get that item on the torch, which we just saw, he's got a glitchy sprite, and if you get that item, it can kill him immediately. And there was a glitchy sprite for the tile room version of Bob today.
chest number 12 here, a heart container. And we continue on. Chest number 13, 10 arrows.
Meanwhile, Dawn with a very nice try and X fight, about to enter Ganon's tower themselves. Which, if Dawn goes full right, it looks like that's the play, and that might help close this gap a little. Or excuse me, full left. Looks like that's the play, and that might close the gap a little bit. Or if it's behind Ice Armos, maybe even full right. Full.
A blue bottle, a compass, the mushroom, 300 rupees. We're headed to Ice Armos.
If you want, get your guesses in as to what could be there. If you want to be really rude, you could say maybe something like Ice Trinex, which is always super fun.
Checks 19, 20, and 21. What are these chickens doing here? Or excuse me, 18 right here in Bob's chest. Just 3 bombs. Here we are. Iceland Molus. That's kind of boring.
Yeah, with Gold Sword, this is not really that bad. May take you a couple cycles, but you're not really in any danger whatsoever.
19, 20, and 21. Coming up here, BigDunka. Number 19, a piece of heart. Number 20, a small key. Number 21, the real kid. It's Tile Room.
And I apologize to those of you I razzed for being mean. I guess the seed was mean too.
They are equally likely. All 22 of those locations. Missed what Ultros' bunny sprite where there was. I consider Final Fantasy VI to be one of my favorite games. I did not recognize that at all. Oh, was it? Oh, was it Chupon? I think it was Chupon.
I think it was Chupon, yeah. Worth noting that with the cape, you can theoretically put it on and just hold on to a wall, but I think BigDunka doesn't even have enough magic to do that.
Yeah, that without half magic, that's going to run out right quick. There's your big key, number 22. I hope you enjoy Ganon's Basement because we saw all of it. Congratulations to Kryuji, the winner of the Ganon's Tower Big Key guessing game. 17 internet points for you, my friend. Fatalistic, also 5 bonus points for picking the correct number. GG to y'all. Ravis 10 still with the lead on Speed Gaming 2 here. 172 points. We see those rooms going by with no red mimics. The bow not required to progress here. The gauntlet, I would say, in Randomizer, probably a little less scary than normal. You never know, though.
Yeah, I definitely feel like the gauntlet, outside of like the Wizrobes rooms, you know, which are free if you know exactly what you're doing, I think the gauntlet is significantly easier in Randomizer. One of the few rooms that is.
If there are Lionels in the gauntlet, you gotta kill them. Obviously.
BigDunka doing a very good job showing off that the hookshot does auto-kill shadows if you hit them. And it's worth noting, the randomized health is not part of this seed, but it is worth noting if you play seeds on your own where you use the randomized health, stuff like the hookshot instant killing those guys is still true even if health is increased.
Dawn getting hit by a wall master. Oh, that is unfortunate. Not gonna loses some time. Will Dawn go to tile room and do it right now?
I feel like if you're an hour 40 in and you haven't seen the dot done and you just go through that, maybe you do, because you just say, well, if it was somewhere else, he would have already finished or already, you know, gone through, so.
Yes, yes, do it, Dawn. Yeah, Cape Steps. Yes.
Turning the unfortunate Wallmaster into a Galaxy Brain play. Excellent.
Very, very nice. BigDunka got to get a little. Oh, gonna pop that potion. Not sure how many more potions BigDunka has. Ooh, that is a rude Beamos there in this room. I'm gonna be careful with that.
Yeah, BigDunka, I believe, has at least one more, because he got one from the waterfall fairy ways back, and then got one here in the tower itself.
It has always frustrated me in this game that the mirror shield does not protect you from Beamos lasers. Like, what the F?
And notice, shoutouts to the roller going through the wall.
Love that. We barely saw any spike rollers. There's one. Like a good spike. We have our old friend Vitreous up here.
And Vitreous can be kind of rude in a Troll Dorm arena like this, because it's difficult to dodge.
Especially without those silver arrows. And we get the OK Boomerang there in that final chest. It was the bad Boomerang, but now that Ancilla splash delete stuff, it's now the OK Boomerang.
Yeah, all those people who hated on Red Boomerang are going to be really sad when they find out, like, a few months from now when someone invents, like, some kind of way to break more stuff with it. Even Ancilla and way more than that.
And Randomizer is done with BigDunka, pulling off a triple in the first cycle. That might have only been one there.
I think the last one was only one.
Yeah,
so it was. One more hit here.
One. So 3-1-1-1. Oh.
I guess the first cycle.
I guess the first one was a 2, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. 2-1-1-1-1 there for BigDunka.
No, stop bonking. My fantasy points.
Some spite bonks for BigDunka's fantasy owners. Ha ha ha. That's not a joke. There is Link to the Past Randomizer League Fantasy. Every bonk over 10 loses you points.
Worth noting, for those of you who are new to Randomizer, Ganon is completely the same as normal. Always difficult, but not Randomized or different in any way.
Gold Sword makes this pretty straightforward, though. silver arrows in Ice Palace, which we did not see.
Yeah, clearly no one's going into Ice Palace for those, since we had no other reason to go in there.
So we need 12 spins here on Ganon phase number 4. Pretty straightforward if you get that torch glitch. So far, very well done by BigDunka. With the torch glitch, you can get 3 spins per cycle if you space it out right. And there it is. The pig goes down. BigDunka just that 1x3 bridge away. Get your GGs in chat for BigDunka, the winner of our match today. That is an official SRL time of 1 hour, 46 minutes, 26 seconds. Excellent, excellent time for Randomizer. GG to BigDunka. And we are joined by BigDunka here in the booth. GG.
Thank you very much. GG's.
I guess first, your general thoughts about that scene.
You've witnessed a really easy way to turn a 125 seed into a 145.
Are we talking about Palace of Darkness by any chance?
Well, yeah. So I realized it when I was in the maze, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I probably should have done that, but there's no way it could have been the mirror in this chest. I'll come back when I get to that.
Well, you know, when you think that to yourself, you know, there's a pretty good chance that you're gonna be wrong, and then there it was. But
Yeah.
good job recovering from that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was a. I mean, other than that, that was. I couldn't ask for much. I mean, the fire rod was, slightly out there, but other than that, it was about as easy as it gets.
Yeah, nothing. We were remarking at the really distressingly low number of spike rollers that we saw in this scene. The boss layout turned out to be pretty favorable for you. As we see Dawn headed into the Ganon fight as well, not too far behind you.
Yeah, and I believe Dawn has at least 1 potion, so this should be fairly straightforward for Dawn as well.
Especially with half magic, which you were not able to, you didn't pick up there, Duncan. That was in Eastern Palace.
Yeah, actually, that was Eastern was the one that was really concerning because obviously I had no interest in going there at all at that point, and that fire rod was, it was effectively going to do that, and then I was going to do ice, and then probably Eastern after that. But I didn't want to go anywhere in there because if it was in there, I was in just huge amounts of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't blame you there. Dawnvenure very quickly into phase 4. Gets the torch glitch with the lamp. 12 spins now from that gold sword. We'll hold off here until Dawn is done with this fight. Ooh, just a little early there. Whoa, man. My heart just about stopped there for a second. It's like just a little off on the timing there. There's not a huge window in order to get those spins. Also, mad props to Dawnvenure here. Oh no! I was about to say mad props to Dawnvenure.
Dawn does
not
have a
using
fairy.
potion, but there is a fairy. Oh, thank goodness. That's probably why Dawn was being so cavalier about her health level.
Yeah, Dawn had menued earlier in the fight to pull out that blue potion and showed that he had a fairy, so definitely why I didn't use the blue earlier.
Looks like we're back on timing here. There it is. Ganon goes down. Get your GGs in chat for Dawnvenure. Really, really nicely done there. Dawnvenure finishes in second with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 51 minutes, and 29 seconds. GG to Dawnvenure. Hopefully, we will get here in just a moment. And we are joined in the booth now by Dawnvenure. GG. Well done. I need some push to talk button here.
I tried and
Oh, well, need some cooking tips from Dawn there. But GG to you here. I gotta say, both of you runners did a really excellent job on this seed here.
Yeah, GG.
Oh well, we lost him. So Dunka, any more? Oh, and he's back.
okay.
Gone.
Now I can hear you.
There we go. All right, GG.
GG.
Yeah, GG.
So Dawn, any thoughts on the seed overall? What did you think of it?
It was really nice. Like there wasn't anything too difficult about it. Like some of the more aggravating rooms were really easy to go through. The only thing that really tripped me up was finding the fire rod, which I basically last location. I think I had 2 other overworlds and ice palace, but overall I felt like I played really well. I don't think I had any unnecessary deaths, and it was pretty straightforward, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, race-wise, you guys were back and forth the entire time. Like, it was a very close race the entire time, and really that 5-minute difference was the fire rod right at the end, because BigDunka also was searching for it. You both had 6 crystals at pretty much the exact same time.
Yeah, I like chaining everything together, and so I pretty much did everything that I can chain, and then it just was unfortunate that the last thing I chained was the that Dark Kakariko Thieves Town chains.
Yeah, definitely. So, what did you think of the enemies this seed in terms of how the Randomizer itself played out?
Like I said, it felt like it was super easy. Like this is intro to Randomizer. The one thing I really wanted to do was hammer yump, but then there was just the big old spike in the way. I'm like, I guess I'll use the cape and go through. And finding the mirror there, I kind of expected the mirror to be in there, but I got it my second time I was in the area, which was actually pretty nice because I had flippers and can chain Catfish into Zora area.
Yeah, that was a routing decision that worked out really well for you, going up to Catfish and being able to mirror over and get that hammer later on. Unfortunately, like it was very very smoothly done. Unfortunately, I think both of you ended up having to double dip Palace of Darkness. You because you didn't have the hammer when you went in there, and BigDunka just didn't have the big key and made it to the chest and had to nope out and go back and get it later.
I did a dumb.
Dawn, talk to me about the moment in the basement of Ganon's tower. You get wall mastered on your way to Ice Armos, and you decide Galaxy Brain to do Tile Room on your way.
So that happened to me before in like practice run this week, where in the exact same location, I got Master Hand there, and like I knew it was kind of coming too, because as soon as I bonked and didn't get over the portal, I'm like, well, this is it, and it came down right on me. I'm like, well, I gotta go right side. It's a lot faster than going left side, I think, to go straight to the back. So I'm like, all right, well, might as well do this while I'm here. If it's here, then good for me. If not, then oh well.
We were all cheering for you at that moment. We're like, come on, do it, do it, do it, do it. It was very exciting. So later on this week, we have your, I think we have your teammates going at some point here. This is the first match for you guys this week?
Yeah, I believe they play tomorrow.
I don't even know. I haven't even looked at the schedule. He didn't say anything. I know they were trying to schedule it, but then, like in the lobby, it didn't really say anything.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
Yes.
I have the schedule pulled up, and it does not look like the next match between these two teams is scheduled yet. But it will
we
be
see in
later
the chat.
this week.
We see in the chat that it has not been submitted yet. So
They need to get on that.
But yeah, it's
8:30 p.m. on Thursday night from Scrub Cat.
Cool.
Okay.
That'll work.
Now, next week for us, we have mystery seeds. Either are you playing next week?
I'm playing next week.
Yeah, I am too. I'm the rest of the way, so I got my 2 weeks off already.
Oh, very good. Talk to me about what you're expecting for Mystery Week next week, as if you can expect anything.
Thankfully, the league settings are pretty tame.
They are,
so that's a good thing.
They're pretty tame in general, but there is, a percentage for hard. There's a percentage, I believe, for swordless. So if you get really unlucky, there can be a terrible seed.
Yep, never. I'd prefer not swordless. Like I've done like maybe like 2 runs of swordless, and I'm not a fan. I like having the sword. And it's not just because the sword is just so efficient. It's just I like dashing through enemies. I think dashing through enemies is fun. I think it's fast.
That is the hardest thing about not having a sword, is remembering that that dashing is now a little bit dangerous here, and that you can't dash straight through items. That can be very difficult. But I believe there is a. Go ahead.
And the other thing that I'd like about having a sword is you can item dash, you can hammer dash through pegs, and hammer pegs is so much more fun. That's all I care about, is hammer dashing through anything.
Legit, I like that. I'd be worried about inverted for me. That's the thing that I don't particularly want to see too much. But that is for next week. Any last words for us, Dawnvenure?
I was coming into this match with actually low expectations for myself. I've had pretty bad practice, and I didn't get that much sleep last night. But that's not an excuse why I lost. It's just actually how I felt. And starting the league 0-5, now it's what's their chance of actually making it out of this bracket, if you want to call it bracket, or Swiss? I don't know.
Division.
Whatever you want to call it. Yeah, this division. It's going to be really difficult for us. So, like I said, I'm just here to kind of prove that we're not the worst team, but
You did I gotta say, you handled yourself extremely well in this seed. BigDunka has been around for a long time. That race came down to just about 5 minutes exactly, and I have to say, just overall, very, very good job. So sleep deprived or no.
Yeah,
I'd like to say thank you to the restreamer, the commentators, and the tracker. Thank you very much for hosting this race for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you everybody for watching here on Speed Gaming 2. There is another match here on Speed Gaming 2 starting at 9:10 p.m. between Spherefinity and Forfeiters Are Us, both of which are, I believe, 3-1 in the league thus far. So that should be a pretty good race. Starts at 9:10. If you're looking for some more other rando action before that or after that, the link to the past league, ALTTPRleague.com. You can find it on Google, and that'll give you all the locations. My name is Arusta. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks to my co-commentator, Tyler Salt. Thanks to our tracker, Dark Diplomat. Definitely give our runners a follow. Is there anything else you have to say, Tyler?
No, looking forward to some more rando tonight. We've got some races going on as we speak, and a bunch more coming up a little bit later here today. So thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you give our racers a follow there. And thank you for tuning in to the ALTTPR League on the Speed Gaming family of networks. See you next time.